Welcome to the Redirect Podcast. My name is Abigail Hewitts.
And I'm Emily Rojas. The Redirect Podcast is a show where we shift the conversation back to books. We discuss themes from some of our favorite books and how those themes show up in real live experiences.
On today's episode, we're discussing a seasonal imperative, beach reads.
But first, if you've been enjoying the podcast, we'd like to humbly ask that you support us in a few simple ways. You can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and just let us know that you're loving the show.
We'd also love for you to give us a follow on Instagram at Redirect Podcast. And finally, if you really, really love the show, we'd love for you to share it with a friend. Sharing our show with a friend is the best way to help us grow our community of book-loving nerds and to clock other people reading our recommendations on the beach this summer.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah.
So our influence is far and wide, so join in. Share it with your friends.
Emily, do you have any plans to go to the beach this summer?
Tragically, no, I do not, as of yet. Like, I have a mental plan that I'm going to go.
Yeah, it's like a manifestation plan.
Manifesting, but I have no actual plans. Nothing. My problem is I used all my vacation time already, and it starts over in July. So I always have that, but I can't really like take a lot of time off. So I'm like, can I go for like a long weekend or July, I guess. So I'm trying to think it through, but I just feel like I need to go. I need to go to the beach. It's an imperative. And my parents, I feel like, are at the beach every other week. So it makes you feel like you're jealous.
I mean, yes, as we record, it is the Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. And so I thought about actually going, so obviously I live in LA. I thought about driving out to the beach this weekend, but it would probably be kind of busy. And also it's kind of cold actually. Like
Really?
here in California, so it's like 60 degrees at my house right now.
Oh, wow.
But at the beach, it is like also 60. But often like in the heat of the day, it'll like stay in the 60s all day, and here it'll get up into the 70s. So it's always a lot chillier at the beach, and the wind is blowing, so I don't think this is a good weekend to go, but I do plan to soon.
Yes.
And
As
I
you
plan to
should.
do some significant reading.
I think that is the best. Whenever I go to the beach, like we go to the beach every year for Thanksgiving, and I can read like a book a day at the beach. You know what I mean? I just, especially when it is colder, when it's warmer, there's more stuff to do. And Thanksgiving, it's normally kind of chilly, so you can't really just get in the water or whatever. But just sitting on the beach reading a book, there's nothing that focuses me more and hones me in more on finishing a book. And so,
Yeah, it's like it's kind of like in college, like when you walk into the library and then like you walk out and you don't know how much time has passed because
yes,
it's like a time warp with no windows.
right.
It's like similar to the beach. I don't know how much time has passed. I've just been sitting here reading my book, and all of a sudden the tide is like coming up to my feet,
Yes, exactly.
I feel that so hard. So we've established that you read a lot on the beach. What qualities are you looking for in your ideal beach read? What is a beach read?
So, first, like I said, I go to the most often time I go to the beach every year is with my family for Thanksgiving. So, for me, I want something that I can pick up and put down pretty easily. I don't want something I don't want a book where you're like, I couldn't put it down because, you're gonna have your cousin interrupting you or talking to you. There's going to be people are going to go play volleyball and you're going to want to do that. So
You don't want to get pissed off for somebody
yes,
at somebody
exactly.
for walking in on like the high point of the book.
Right. And you want to, I think, you want to enjoy your beach trip. You don't want to only read. There's other stuff you want to do. You want to spend time with people. So I want something that will pass the time, but that's not going to grip me in. Like I Googled it and Google summed it up perfectly. A book that will keep you engaged, but is not so serious that it will spoil your holiday. So I want to be engaged, but I also want to be able to put it down when I'm like, okay, I want to go do something else. I also don't want it to be too long. I mean, like 300 pages, I think is a good range, approximately good average for what I'm looking for. I don't want it to be too intellectual, probably not nonfiction. And I said romance or thrillers are ideal for me because those are genres I just really like, and I feel like they're normally, you know what to expect with them. But you get some excitement, but you know what you're going to get. And I said 3-star books, honestly, because I don't really want I don't want to read the best book of the year at the beach, probably. And I don't want it to be bad. I want it to just be good, enjoyable, nothing crazy, but something that sucks you in, but not too much.
Interesting. That
That,
is really
that's
interesting.
my vibe.
I took a totally different approach,
Okay,
but I think that's great. So, my approach to reading on the beach is that this might be a book that you would otherwise be embarrassed to be seen reading on an airplane, in a coffee shop. Like, it's the kind of book you might want to take the dust jacket off of because you're like, I don't want people, or I want to only read this on my Kindle because, I think people are going to judge me for reading this book. And the reason that you can read an embarrassing book on the beach is because the rules of society are just different there. So, you effectively have a bunch of people in their underwear,
that's true.
like hanging out on the beach, sleeping, sweating, drinking before noon, you know, kids running around swimming in an ocean with sharks without adult supervision. Um, there's no lifeguard. We're playing music on Bluetooth speakers, or some people are, I'm
Which
not,
is wrong,
with no
by the
headphones.
way.
It's wrong. It's wrong.
Yes, yes.
People are just behaving in ways that you would not behave at a public park, but it's different because you're at the beach, right? So, what is embarrassing? Like, what would fall into the embarrassing category? Anything that's like clearly smut, you might feel embarrassed to read that in a coffee shop or at a park or in an airplane. Anything that you kind of know has a bad plot and that is maybe considered just like critically bad,
Right.
you might be embarrassed to read in public. A memoir written by anyone who is a member of Bachelor Nation. You know,
Absolutely.
if you're reading a book authored by, you know,
Hannah B.
Grocery Joe,
Grocery
right?
Joe. That's even worse.
That book was made to be read on the beach. Outside of embarrassing books, I think it's perfect to read a book that's set at the beach or on a coastal area.
Agree.
That's something magical, reading a book about a place in a place. Mm-hmm. And then ideally, like, you just kind of want your 10-cent thrift store paperback, little free library. It's okay if this gets salty or a little bit wet. It's okay if you get some, like, you're eating strawberries and then you touch your page and get a little strawberry juice on it. It's like, I'm scared to take my Kindle on the beach,
Oh, yeah.
I'll go, so this is like, you want your thrift books, 10-cent, 25-cent yard sale book.
Yeah, and I think that's another reason why you don't want to read the best books on the beach, because you don't want to necessarily bring your favorite books or the books you're going to definitely keep to the beach. To me, it's like books I'm going to return to McKay's or take to Goodwill or pass on to someone else, like I'm not going to necessarily take my books that I'm really planning on keeping because I'm
Yes.
going to love them. So, yeah, I think something that's expendable is also good.
Regular rules do not apply. And I just want to really underline that before we get into my picks for my beach reads, because I just want to not be judged for what I'm going to say, because I think some of them are really interesting choices. Regular rules need not apply when you're reading on the beach.
No, yeah, the rules don't apply. You're free. You're on vacation. I think that's the other thing, most of the time if you're at the beach, you're doing like you're taking a day off. You're taking your time off. Or it's a weekend, and you want your brain to be turned off. Like I do not want to be thinking at the beach. So I don't want something that is, too critically acclaimed or anything like that. I just want my brain to be turned off. It's like watching a romantic comedy starring Adam Sandler. I don't want
Right.
anything to challenge my mind. I just want to
I want to
relax,
be safe.
get through a book,
Yes.
and I want to be able to finish it really fast and move on to the next.
That being said, the only thing I will judge you for reading at the beach is something serious, something self-help.
Self-help. Get out of
Do
here.
not
Get out of
read
here.
Maya Angelou on the beach.
No.
Do not read Ibram X. Kendi on the beach. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
we are not ascending to higher planes. We are right in the gutter of humanity, being at our
Exactly.
most basic lizard brain level. So
Absolutely.
don't take this too seriously.
Please don't.
Okay, so now we're going to pick our teams, draft some books, go back and forth. So, Emily, I'll give you first pick. What's your first pick for your beach read team?
Okay, my first pick really sums up Beach Reads to me. It is a book I rated 3 stars. I did not love it, but I do wish I had read it at the beach because I think it would have been more enjoyable. So it's a thriller. It's called Chloe Cates is Misting by Mandy McHugh. And it basically follows Chloe Cates is a young girl whose parents have essentially turned her into a child influencer. She is like it is everything I wanted because, I'm very dubious of parents on TikTok
Mm-hmm.
using their kids as content
Mm-hmm.
and having fans. Think of the LeBrant family.
Oh God.
This is
Don't
essentially
make me
them.
think of them.
So I wish I didn't because I have them blocked on everything. But but that's who we're talking about here. This is basically as if we're writing a book about the little girl whose name I don't know from the LeBrant family. So she's like the star. She's basically supporting the family, and they're kind of relying on her for their income. And one day she goes suddenly missing, and she's got crazy stalker fans. She also just kind of is growing resentful of her life as she grows up, so you kind of see all of those different aspects. It's not like the best book in the world, but I think it's a perfect beach read because of that reason. It's this thriller. I really love this whole idea of child stars, but in a new age of where they're on YouTube instead of starring it on Disney Channel. And so I think that's interesting. The parents are just insufferable. So this is it's a fast book to get through. And so I think I would really enjoy reading this on the beach.
Oh, I love that. That sounds like a really fun book to read. Um, I love that. I really want to read it now.
All right. So what's your first draft pick for your beach read team of champions?
Okay. Controversial pick. I'm going to say Ice Planet Barbarians by Ruby Dixon. Emily, are you familiar with Ice Planet
I
Barbarians
have never heard of
IP?
this before. No.
Okay. I'm just going to put a bunch of huge warnings on this. This this is a book series of like, I don't know, it probably has like 20 books by now. It is not suitable for children. It is adult content for sure. And in the first book, I would say there's some like content warnings at the beginning. Um, anyways, it is a book about, it's like a sci-fi romance. The basic plot here is that a bunch of 22-year-old girls from Earth get abducted by a bunch of little green aliens, and they wake up on a spaceship, and they're like, oh no, like, where are we? Where are we going? Whatever. They take the spaceship hostage. They are able to like crash it, but it lands on this ice planet, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they end up finding these big blue aliens on the planet, and they're like trying to figure out how to communicate with them, talk to them, and get back to Earth. And I think you can see where this is going.
Correct. Based on the Google image search I just did of the covers of these books, I know exactly where this is going.
Okay, so this is where this is going. You see why you can only read this on the beach. Um,
Correct.
First of all, they're each very short. They're and each book follows like a different girl and a different alien. Um, so you're not just getting 20 books about the same alien couple.
Yeah.
Anyways, um, it is so goofy. It's almost campy.
Hmm.
Like that's how like silly and like crazy and weird and outlandish it is. But it's just like delicious. We read it for book club
Mm.
one month, and everybody like was like, "Why did I love this?" It's kind of one of those things where like, I know I shouldn't love this. I know that this is a bad book. Like at one point, she just happens to find a crashed spaceship that like gives her a download of like all the alien language. So like all of a sudden she can speak it. It's just like
Convenient.
it's not good, but it's like, why did I love this so much? Like, why is this drugs? I want to keep reading the rest of
I feel
them.
you.
So that is the vibe of Ice Planet Barbarians. Honestly, you could read the backs of like the first like five and just pick one. I don't really think you necessarily need to read them in order if that's not your thing, but I would recommend this as like a crappy, smutty, stupid
Alien-y.
book to read on the beach. That's my
Love it.
first
Look,
pick.
if we grew up reading books about a girl falling in love with a vampire and a werewolf, I think there's nothing wrong with some Blue Ice Planet guys, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, my second draft is a series like yours, and I believe I've recommended this on here before, but it's Ellen Hildebrand's Winter in Paradise series. Really, I think probably anything by her is a good beach read because they're very all set on the beach pretty much, and they're very like there's I feel like they're serious enough that you feel like you're getting something, but I feel like they almost all the ones I've read, they have kind of like a happy ending, good resolution. There's usually love involved, even if it's not the main plot. So I really like this series. It follows a family who they are a pretty well off family. The father, I don't know, he does something where he makes a lot of money, but he dies suddenly in a helicopter crash and on the Virgin Islands, and secrets are revealed about his life that they never knew. And so it's his wife, who's now a widow, but found out he might, have had a second family in the Virgin Islands, and his sons who are kind of dealing with the loss of their dad and finding out he's not who they thought. And so it's them going down to the Virgin Islands for over Christmas, and they're trying to find out what the truth was about the father of this family. And there's several love stories in here. It's sad, obviously, because, the guy dies and you find out secrets about him about after he's dead, and you can't ask him, what was going on. But it's a really nice series. It's 3 books, but I think it would be like if you were going for a whole week at the beach, you could probably take the series and you could get through the 3 books if you were there that whole time, because they're not super long. They're not super like stressful on the mind. There's like mystery. I think this is a perfect blend for me because there is love, there's romance plot lines, but there's also, it's like the thriller aspect. And something I like about Ellen Hildebrand, which I like in a lot of books, is she changes the perspective of who's narrating, like
I love that.
from different characters' points of view. I love that. And she does it so well. So you feel like you really love all the characters. You really get to know all of them. And so I think this would be a really good series to bring with you to the beach. But it is over winter, but I think that's good because, you never know when you're going to the beach, but it's still set at the beach. So it's still very tropical. You get the whole ambiance of being at the beach, even though it's the winter time.
I love that. And I think also one thing I love about changing perspectives or like a changing point of view is I think it makes the book feel like it goes by quicker. Like you read
Totally
it,
agree.
I don't know, you get less like bored. There's less stopping points because you're like, oh, like now I want to see the
Yes.
same event from their point of view.
Yeah, she's
Um,
really good at that. And I think sometimes too, like, it's like having different perspectives. It makes you also have like shorter chapters sometimes. And something I hate is when a chapter just goes on and on and on and on because
yes.
you just feel like you're not accomplishing anything. Even though you're turning pages, it's like, I want the resolution of a chapter ending. So these are really easy to get through pretty fast because you are kind of turning the pages, trying to figure out the secrets that are yet to be revealed.
Yes, I love a short chapters in a book for sure.
Yes, looking at you, Dave Eggers, with your never-ending chapters that are non-existent, I will never read another book by
I love you and I hate you.
you. Yes.
Mostly hate, but
Yes.
whatever. Okay, my next book is Dial A for Aunties by Jessie Q. Sutano. This is a book that I actually gave you. I don't know
I
if you had
know.
a chance
I haven't
to
read it yet, but it's
Okay.
on my little stack.
Okay, well, this is perfect for you because you could actually read this on the beach or at the lake or at
I
the
hope
pool
to
or something.
manifest that.
Okay, so this is, I think I probably gave this a 3.5. It was a pleasure to read. Is it a great work of literature? No, but it's a pleasure to read. So this is a book. The main character, her name is Medi, and she works in a wedding business with her mom and her 3 Indo-Chinese aunties. And um, so the author herself, Jessie Sutanto, is from an Indonesian Chinese family. And so this is kind of about her life, but she, novelized it. Um, what happens is that at the beginning of the book, Medi gets set up on this date with this guy. She goes, something happens and he tries to attack her and she accidentally kills him. And the aunties are now trying to save her, get rid of the body on the day of this huge wedding at this big hotel. And the hotel happens to be owned by Medi's ex-love.
Of course.
And it is honestly, it was so funny. I laughed out loud so much. The aunties are hilarious. They each have this great personality. There's a little bit of romance, a little bit of true crime, but if I really had to put this in a genre, I would say it's just comedy. It is so funny. And there's a sequel as well, which I read. It's called Four Aunties and a Wedding. But it's just a really fun, silly, goofy. I felt like it was super goofy and fun, but I also learned a lot about Indonesian Chinese culture. And I felt like, oh, that was cool. This was fun and light, but I also feel like I learned something.
Yeah.
And, there's an author's note at the beginning of the book where Jessie Sutanto was like, in this book, I'm going to write like my aunties talk. And to some that may come across as as if I'm making fun of them or because they speak in broken English that's mixed with Indonesian and in Mandarin. But she was like, the truth is I don't speak either of those languages well, and my aunties really learned how to speak English to communicate with me. So it has a lot of humor and a lot of heart, and I think it'd be a great beach read. It's quick, it's goofy, it's fun.
Sounds really good. It kind of reminds me, have you read the Finley Donovan series?
I have not.
It's very similar where she accidentally kills someone essentially and enlists help to try to get out of these situations. And so I think if you it sounds like if you like those books, then you would probably like this because it's a very similar comedy, creepy, but not creepy, but kind of funny true crime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just hijinks. The whole book
Yes.
is just silly hijinks ensue. So
Okay. My third draft is that was my drum roll. The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren, who we love Christina Lauren, who was actually two people. But this book I feel like is okay, Love in Other Words is the book you want to read to, wrench your heart a little, feel things, think a lot. This book is the one you want to take to the beach by them because it follows it's enemies to lovers. It's the best man and the maid of honor in a wedding, the main girl's sister's wedding. And they go to this wedding, they hate each other, they're dreading seeing each other, and then everyone at the wedding eats something at the buffet that gives them food poisoning except these two. So they're forced to take over this honeymoon, which the couple had won. It's a very elaborate plot. The couple won this honeymoon.
yeah, there's lots of twists and turns.
And so they're not forced to, but they're given the opportunity to pretend to be them and take over this honeymoon that they had won in this giveaway. So they go on the honeymoon together, and you can see where this is going, obviously. We all know, which I think is why it's such a good beach read. I didn't like this one as much as I liked Love in Other Words or other books by Christina Lauren, but I think that's why it's perfect for a beach read. There's very little, even though they're enemies to lovers, there's not a lot of conflict. It all kind of happens. Where it's going to end up, and I think that is why it's such a good book, because you're not going to be stressed out. You're not going to feel like you can't put it down because it's also not good, It's not that good.
Yeah, you'll be able to put it down.
You'll be able to put it down, but it is, the tropical vacation part of it also makes it a really good beach read because of the setting. And, it makes you think, what would you do? And you know what I hate most about enemies to lovers is why do these people even hate each other in the first place? It seems always arbitrary, but that's okay at the beach. It's okay to hate people for no reason. It's okay. I could make an enemy at the beach so easily because they're smoking cigs and they're playing their Bluetooth speaker with Morgan Wallen at the highest possible volume. And I'm really painting a picture here, but that would be my enemy. And it sounds arbitrary, but it's real. So that is why enemies to lovers is good only at the beach. Thank you
I'm
for
so
listening.
glad. Yeah, I'm so glad you picked this one because I was actually thinking this one until I saw you had already made a note about it. So I was like, okay, I'll let her have that one. But it is a lot of fun. It's like definitely not as good as Love in Other Words, and it's like a fine book.
Yeah.
Again, you know where
Again,
it's going.
3-star book. Like, I would not read it again, which is even better. You know, I'm never going to read this book again, and that's okay because I got salt water on the pages and I'm going to give it to Goodwill.
Totally. I love it. Okay, well, my next book, I'm actually kind of breaking the rules because I did think it was good, is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid.
Very good.
I talked about it a little bit, I think a few weeks or a few episodes ago, as like how I read this book and Carrie Soto is back. But Malibu Rising is set in Malibu. So check one. A lot of it's set on the beach and in the ocean. It's about the children of a famous man, Mick Riva, and the things that are going on in their lives and circling around this one night where there's this huge fire and you know how it's going to end and you don't know how it gets there, and there's lots of twists and turns. There's flashbacks to when the parents were young. There's flash forwards to when the kids are adults. And if you love a universe, like obviously we've mentioned before that Malibu Rising is part of the Taylor Jenkins Reid like universe, Mick Riva being like the center of that, kind of having appearances in her 4 most recent books. So yeah, Malibu Rising, I think would be a great beach read. It's a little bit longer, so this might be the book you bring to the beach. But highly recommend for like a fun, captivating, like I'm going to sit on the beach for hours and get lost kind of thing, if that's your vibe.
I think Taylor Jenkins Reid writes like really immersive, engaging worlds. And so if you do want to like get lost in a book, I think it's a good pick to pick one of her books because it feels like you're in a real world in all of them. So I think that's what makes her books good.
It feels super real.
Yeah, and when you have like the white noise of the ocean and you're just vibing under the umbrella, you can really get like sucked into another world where you can feel like you're picturing it all around you. So I love it.
Totally. So yeah, if Dial A for Aunties isn't your vibe, like Iceland of Barbarians is like too lowly for you, I would pick up Malibu Rising for sure.
Okay, yeah. And so my last draft pick is really, this is like a catch-all pick for this genre of books, which you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But I picked The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn. But any book that inspired that awful, I don't know, I never watched it, but I heard it was not great. The Netflix kind of satirical take on these, like The Woman Across the Plane in the Window, I don't know, with, what's her name? That genre is the perfect beach read because you're going to have, this is what I mean by that genre. You're going to have an alcoholic woman narrator who is incredibly unreliable, who sees something weird and no one believes her, and she has to find the truth. But there's also some kind of weird twist that you're not expecting. So this book in particular, it follows a woman who lives alone in this like big apartment, and she looks across the street, and through the window she can see this idyllic family. She is recently separated from her husband and she talks to her daughter on the phone, but she doesn't, like, she obviously is an alcoholic. She doesn't have custody. She's really struggling. And one night she witnesses the woman across the street through the window being stabbed and killed. And she tries to report it, but no one will believe her, and they're like, nothing happened. She's like, I know what I saw, but then you're like, she's mixing pills and alcohol, so did she actually see anything? There are so many books like this. Gillian Flynn writes more elevated books in the same genre, but her books are kind of like this. But I think there's like The Girl on the Train is another one. Anything like this is an ideal beach read because they are twisty enough. Like I like a good twisty book, but there isn't a lot to like get through your head because you're basically just following this unreliable narrator around. So you kind of know you can't really believe anything she says, but um, you're still just like along for the ride with this person. You're not like taking anything too seriously. You're just seeing what's going to happen next. But there's also like reveals, so you're going to keep the pages turning and um, there's going to be some kind of twist at the end. And so that kind of like that always keeps me engaged. When I know there's going to be a twist at the end, I'm always going to fly through that book because I want to know what's going to happen so bad.
Yes.
So I love a good book that's going to be a little twisty, but not too where you're like having to like really focus so you can try to decipher the mystery. One of these is great because you know that all the details don't really matter anyways because this lady is pounding like 3 bottles of wine a night and
Yeah.
this is just not a trustworthy person.
When you say that, it makes me think about I read one of the Lady Sherlock books recently, and those are like she is an extremely reliable narrator. So it's like,
Like,
oh,
yes.
I have to pay attention to every little thing, and I'm getting kind of exhausted.
Yes.
And so that puts the book you're talking about in relief, and I'm kind of like,
Yeah, Lady Sherlock is like a Christmas book when you are off work, but you're not with your family yet, and you have nothing else to do, and you really want to focus in on a book. That's when I like to read Lady Sherlock. The Woman in the Window is like when you are, having a beer at 10 a.m. on the beach. That's what you want to be reading.
I love that. I just like when you describe that book, I can feel in my body how happy I would be to read it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
I know what it would feel like
Yes, exactly.
to be like, oh, it's 2 a.m. and I am just the Kindle light on my face.
Yes. Yes.
Right? Just like keeping reading it. And oh man, okay, I gotta put that on my list. My TBR is so freaking long.
It's so bad right now for me. I have so many physical books, but then I also have like 30 holds on Libby, so it's really not a good combo.
All of my Libby holds just came off at the same time.
Why do they do that? Why do
And
they do that?
this is an aside, but you saw my Be Real where I'm reading Project Hail Mary,
Yes.
which we just got to do an episode on that because it
We
is being
do.
made into
Okay.
a movie,
Yes.
starring Ryan Gosling. Were you aware?
I was.
Yeah. So
And I'm ready.
yeah,
He is a
so
great cast for that, but
it is perfect.
anyways.
But it's kind of a long book, and I got one of those. I don't know if your Libby ever does this. I got at the LA Public Library. They do like a skip the line. So like every once in a while, it'll just prompt you, "Oh, skip the line," but you can only borrow the book for 1 week. So now I'm like, I'm like only 60% of the way through the book, and I have 2 days left. So I'm good. Like I have like 400 pages left.
It's so good.
I have,
Okay, I will reread that book and we will do an episode on it because I loved it, but I need a refresher on what happens specifically, but
yeah, a lot of
it's
science.
so good. It's a lot
Yeah.
of science. So that's not a beach read.
Not a beach read.
Too much science.
Okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We will come back to this in a future episode.
Yes.
But Project Hail Mary. Anyways, my last book to read on the beach is Reckless Girls by Rachel Hawkins. This is a book you sent to me last
Yes.
summer, I think.
Mhm.
Perfect summer read. So this book actually turned me on to Rachel Hawkins. So before I get into Reckless Girls, I will say I read her other 2 books, The Wife Upstairs, and then her 2023 release, The Villa, I read recently, which I might suggest also as a beach read. That was really good. So she writes thrillers, featuring main female characters. Reckless Girls is about 6 20-somethings who go on a sailboat trip and sail to this like remote island, and somebody goes missing, and then someone else turns up dead, and we're trying to figure out what's happening. Is there someone else on the island? Is it one of us that's killing the other people? This other couple shows up on the beach, and there's just a lot going on, but it's like on a remote island that has like lots of like history and lore about it. It has like suspicious characters. It has like a romance element. It is really good. It will draw you in. I love books. Oh, I think it's really interesting when you have a book that like there's only six people here. There's only six
Yes.
possible things that could happen. There's not going to be any other characters that come into it. We have one setting. There's a strong sense of place. And like, and we, as we have said many times, when you have a strong sense of place, the setting feels like a character. And in this book, the setting is totally a character. Um, so this kind of like, I'm glad that we talked about this one last because this kind of marries like the suspense, thing you might like to read on the beach, but also like, I don't know. I think this book was probably a 3 to a 4. Like, it's not a 5-star read. Um, but yeah, do you have anything you would like to say about Reckless Girls? I know it's been a minute.
I would say Reckless Girls is like if you're like me and you don't take risks. Reckless Girls is like what you think is going to happen to you anytime you do something outside your comfort zone. Because you're like, what could happen if I decide to just go with these random people to this deserted island? This is the worst case scenario. Like people dying, people going missing, like weirdos showing up. But I really liked it. And it's kind of like, And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie, or books like that where you're like, okay, people are dying. There are only X amount of people here. So one of us is doing this. Like there's no other explanation, but I have to work. Like some of us are innocent and I want to prove that I'm innocent, but I don't want to be around these people because one of them might have done something bad. So that kind of dilemma, I think, is super fun. And I mean, it wouldn't be fun in real life, but it's fun to read about. So I think if you like that kind of book, I think this is really good too, where you're like, okay, there's only so many suspects here. And we're all trapped together. So what are we going to do?
Yeah, and again, if you want to suss out if you like Rachel Hawkins first, The Wife Upstairs is like also fun, set in the South, Southern vibes, and then The Villa is set in Italy, and it's a time jump. There's two stories going on, the same, like so. Just a quick aside on The Villa, because I kind of wanted to include that as a book I've read
Why
recently,
not?
but
This is a
I've
bonus pick.
cheated. Okay, bonus pick, The Villa. Um, it's so like a few decades ago, there was a murder that happened at this villa, and it was like there was a bunch of famous people who stayed there. A famous book was written there, and a famous album was recorded there. And someone died. And a few decades in the future, these two authors are staying there together, and one of them starts writing a book about this murder and looking around the house for clues about it. And it jumps back and forth in the time, and things start coming together, and it's really good. I would say maybe that's the best one. I would highly
Okay,
recommend.
I'm gonna have to check that out. That sounds right up my alley.
Like it's literally right up your alley. It's like chef's kiss. Okay, that was my bonus pick. Emily, what is a book that you've read recently to kind of cap up our conversation?
Okay, so a book I've read recently is The Immortalists by Chloe Benjamin, and it is an audiobook I'm listening to. I'm almost done, so I'm going to go ahead and recommend it because I feel like, nothing's going to happen in the last like 20 minutes I have left of that's going to ruin it. But basically this book it starts out focusing on four siblings. They are living in New York. They're a Jewish family. The oldest is about 13 or 14, and the youngest is 7. When they hear about this old woman who is in town who can tell you the day that you're going to die, and they decide to go see her. Yes, they decide to go see her, and they're literally children, so that's not the best choice probably, but they go up and they find this apartment where she lives, and they decide to go, and one by one they go in, and then they come out on the other side, and they kind of don't really ever talk about it again. And
Wait,
eventually,
you as the reader see what happens when they're in there?
you only see the perspective of one person at that time of what happened, the oldest girl. And the oldest daughter is told, you'll live to be 88 and you will be happy. Like she emphasizes, you will be happy. And so she leaves, but the others, she's like, oh, cool. Like I'm going to live a long life. And the others are like distraught. So you kind of feel like maybe they were told different things. And you do eventually find out. And so the story is actually told, that opening scene happens from the oldest daughter's perspective, and then the story is told in order of how they are going predicted to die. So it starts with the youngest one who was predicted to die the soonest. And it's his perspective for about, a fourth of the book. Then it goes to the next person, then the next person, then the next person. So, it's a downer, obviously, because it's, the subject matter is not the best. And it's kind of the question of like, did this person actually know that those would be the days that these people were going to die? Or are they almost like manifesting their own death because of the choices they make with that in mind, that they might die on a certain date or whatever? So, it's really good, but I don't know, like you get to see the passing of time because it's told chronologically, but through different perspectives, and these like sibling relationships that are so complicated, but then like you fall in love with one sibling and you kind of feel their like resentment towards the others, but then you get the other's perspective and you start to feel like I understand where they were coming from. And so it's really good. It's really sad, but it's good. Even though you kind of know what's going to happen because they are foretold when they're going to die, it's still a really enjoyable book.
Wow, that sounds right up my alley too. Really man, sometimes I get so frustrated when we record these episodes because I'm like,
I know.
there's too much to read. I think we need to do we need to add into our schedule a book talk episode so we can just catch up on the books we've been reading, because
I know.
I think I've been reading a lot of good stuff recently.
Yes.
Okay, book I've read recently, Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. This was a Popcast greenlight of Jamie's. Emily and I are big Popcast stans.
Yes.
They're much better than us.
Their book recommendations, to me, I'm a Jamie. If you listen to the podcast, anytime Jamie greenlights a book, I know I'm going to like it. I feel like we have just really similar tastes. So many books I recommend end up being greenlights, but especially hers, I feel like we're always on the same vibe. So I already know I'm going to love this book.
I know that I'm going to like Jamie's book recommendations, not Knox's, but Adelaide by Genevieve Wheeler. I just want to, so I kind of got lost in some of the Goodreads reviews after I read this book because it was one of my first 5 stars of the year. It was that good. But I think at first the book was kind of marketed and people thought it was a romance book. It is not. It is a kind of a bummer for a lot of it. But it's the story, it's named from the title character is Adelaide. She's the main character, and she's a 20-something living in London. She's an American living in London. And it follows, she has like a history of mental health in her family, mental health issues. And the beginning of the book starts in kind of like present day, and she's having a mental health crisis. And it was revealed that she just went through a breakup. And then it goes back to tell the story of their relationship and kind of how she got there. The fun thing about the book, and I think what really drew me in, was that it's kind of told as like there's like a narrator, and you kind of get to know the narrator's voice. It's kind of like in Jane the Virgin, it feels like a narrator is telling the story, and it's not just like third person. It's like that. It would say stuff like Genevieve Wheeler was always eating green beans, or I don't know, but it would say something like that, like Genevieve Wheeler thought that she was a really easygoing person, but she wasn't. So it's kind of like you get to get this feeling that the narrator is a person, even though they're not, which I really loved. And so it's about her and this main relationship she has for a couple years in her 20s. And, essentially, it's just a situation where she loves this guy, but he just never loves her back. And she doesn't know how to have these boundaries. And you follow her journey to kind of her tipping point. And then, you kind of just... It's so frustrating at times because you see yourself in her, you see your friends in her. And I think that's what makes it a good book, is that I just really feel like we've all kind of been there at some point. And it was a really beautiful book. I shed some tears at the end. I was really happy for her at the end. And even though I wouldn't say it was a super fun book, it was one of my first 5 stars of the year. It was lovely.
Wow. Yeah, two not that great hang of books, but really enjoyable today from us.
Yeah, exactly.
All
All
right.
right. Anything else,
Bye.
Emily? Bye.
No.